Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, and you're listening to the Comic Com, man. This is where you get all your comics info, and take that from a comics guy, a comic book man.
From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic Com podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zach, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So, welcome back, everyone. Season 3, episode 27, Comic-Con podcast. You know who it is. Manimal, Nemesis Prime. We're here to talk comics, talk some trash, some news, some community, do what we do. Justin, how's it going over there, man? So a lot on your plate lately, right?
We're not even gonna get into the personal stuff, but we are like I said last week, 26 up, 26 down, 27 perfect game. We're done. We're quitting for the rest of the year. We're not doing any more episodes. But I'm having some issues here at the house. It's been an absolute nightmare. July 4th, I had not only did my central air unit freeze.
It's so weird. Like, how does it freeze in July? Like, that's something that happens like.
Well, because it's a possibility it's a leak or there's no refrigerant or freon or whatever. So that was one thing that happened on Tuesday. And if you're here in New Jersey, you knew the torrential downpours and storms. Part of my basement flooded, and luckily it was the unfinished side, and I saved the comics. That was the most important.
Yeah, unlucky it was the comic book room, right?
Unlucky. No, actually, it's better that it was the comic book room because that side is unfinished. So
because I had like this.
It's just like by the laundry, and there's like just shitty carpeting over there. But yeah, the comics were immediately getting moved back from the water, so it was terrible. So yeah, that's where we're at, man. And we just had the HVAC guy come, and we're gonna have some fun tomorrow. So
nice. They hear you're staying home from work tomorrow.
That's basically what it's gonna be like. Got to stay home from work to take care of this issue.
Yeah, so we're recording, like we usually do Thursday, this January, July 6th. We're recording. You're listening on maybe the 7th, maybe the 8th, 9th, 10th. Who knows when you listen to this? But here we are, ready to go. And as always, we like to start off with some community stuff. And if you've been following Justin's social media, you kind of had something cool going on this past weekend, right?
Yeah, I totally forgot to talk about it last week. So this occurred, I guess, like the week before. I was up in Connecticut with Otto from 3 Men in the Basement and a couple other guys. We did a small little comic crawl thing. And he told me, he's like, hey, man, he's like, I'm actually coming back from Disney after a week with the family. And this past Sunday, he was like, oh, this Sunday, the 1st, I guess, or 2nd. He's like, I bought tickets to go see Kevin Smith. It's like a private signing thing down at the Secret Stash down in Red Bank. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And, his wife really wasn't all about it, but she obviously still took the trip. And the extra ticket would have been for her. But he goes, hey, man, he's like, do you want to go? And I was like, hell, I was like, yeah. It's like, as long as I get the okay from the wife. I was like, I haven't been down to the new shop and I've never met Kevin Smith in person. So let's do it. So they must have had 2 different signing times. They must have had like a 12 o'clock and like a 2 o'clock because we had the 12 o'clock. There was probably only like 20 people in line. And the doors open probably not until about 12:30. He got there a little late because he was doing this exclusive like screening of all like movies down at the theater that he owns down in Atlantic Highlands. And I guess it went super late, which I heard it went super late.
Old movies or anything new, like his old
stuff?
Movies,
and supposedly he showed off the Batman Forever Schumacher cut.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need to look into that more. But anyway, came in at like 12:30. The doors open. He's standing there. They let all the people in, and I'm like, wow, that's it. And then they like just close the doors, and I'm like, yo, this is it? Like, there's literally like maybe 20, 25 people. Super intimate, super private. He talked for a little bit. He was just like, I know it's like 2 items, whatever. He's like, but I'll sign whatever they got. He's like, I don't care. If you got like 10 things, 20 things, whatever, So we're there. We're kind of waiting in line. I'm looking at books. And then finally, Mr. Kevin Smith gets up there. It's like me and Otto are like the last people. Otto talks to him for a little bit. Otto did a little video with him. And of course, if you heard it on our intro with Kevin Smith. So I got him to say a little stuff real quick for the Comic-Con podcast. So that was cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just I asked him some quick questions, just obviously, growing up in Jersey, just about the movies. I told him I literally was like a religious freak for all his stuff, like Mallrats and Clerks, and just like the dropping the little names. Like I said to Otto's wife, I was like,
Chasing Amy, right?
yeah, like Chasing Amy. It's like, but the thing is, like, if you didn't grow up in New Jersey, like you wouldn't get some of the references, like the towns he says,
Course,
or
yeah.
like little things. So like that's what's so great about it. But I asked him, I was like, yo, listen, I was like, I know you're friends with Rosario Dawson. I was like, have you seen Ahsoka?
And
And he goes, no, but he's like, my friend who directed some of them told me about it. And he says it's really great. And I was like, it's fucking awesome. That's all I wanted. So yeah, good time, man. It was a good time down in Red Bank, New Jersey, with Otto from Three Men in the Basement,
that
meeting
is
Kevin
cool.
Smith, man.
That's cool. It's like, I mean, you get to go to a lot of that stuff, but obviously, like the numbers made it better. Like how intimate it was, made it more like legit. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, it was literally like $80. And you know what's so great is like, listen, it was $80. He was totally cool signing with whatever. He was very like, he wasn't even like behind the table. Like he was in front of everything. He was taking pictures by the big Funko thing. He was hugging people. Like if you saw the pictures with me, he was like super close.
Yeah.
He didn't give a shit, man. And that's like so good. Like he's very personable, easy to talk to. Like I said, after it, took a picture. It was me, Otto, Mike, from the Comic Book Men, and Kevin. Like just awesome to talk to. Like, and that's what's so great is like you go to some of these signings and people are like so standoffish, or they're it's like really weird. But yeah, man, it was just such a great time. I would definitely do it again. I would recommend it, for $80 to just kind of hang out, and especially being like that intimate thing. And then we walked out and all of a sudden there was like a second group of like people waiting in line. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm glad we did what we did, because I feel like that line was longer than ours.
You know what's funny is for someone whose like alias is Silent Bob, he's super chatty. And you're right. I mean, you see that in everything he does. Like he is very personable. He does like talk to people a lot. So it's funny that he's like alter ego is Silent Bob, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool, man. That is really cool. Yeah, Otto. I mean, Otto's been having what the summer of Otto, right? Hashtag summer of Otto. He's going
it's always been. He's literally between like comic stuff to he had his anniversary. He went up north, and then he went to Disney with the kids for a week. He created some lightsabers. He literally came home Saturday and Sunday. He went drove down here. So
I'm expecting him to take like a picture of him in the bathroom. So hashtag summer of Otto. Just seeing his like shoes and his underwear and stuff. I actually, speaking of summer of Otto, he's getting a little gift from El Paso. I got to ship his way for Terrificon. I got him something that he was looking for. So the old Manimal had it down here, and I was like, cool, bro, take it. I don't want it. Get rid of it. So always happy to get rid of stuff. But yeah, that's cool, dude. Awesome little fun community thing. But we do have a lot of articles today. So I'm going to let you choose, dude. Are we going to do you want to start with comics, or do you want to start with TV movie news?
Let's do some TV movie news.
TV movie news. Okay. Let's start with, why don't you walk us through this Mattel article?
Yeah. So obviously we have the Barbie movie, which is, release same date as Oppenheimer for Christopher Nolan. And
yeah, real quick, what's up with that? Like I've been there's all these, have you been seeing like all these memes about like putting them together, like the two of them, like Barbie and even like the cast are like showing off at each other's like screenings or whatever, right?
Yeah, so basically, like Margot Robbie and the director had like bought tickets for Oppenheimer. It just was like because they both came out on the same day. Like they couldn't like just change like a week or whatever, but just to support each other, which is cool. Like
it's great. Yeah.
Like, that's stuff you don't ever see.
Oppenheimer for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely want to see that.
Is it bad? Like, can we admit like? So my wife says, "Hey, I don't know if you're going to want to see this or not, but like I want to see the Barbie movie." So what are we doing? Are we admitting if we want to see it or not? Like, I'm intrigued. I'm going to be honest. I'm intrigued.
I'm surprised we haven't done our movie review for No Hard Feelings.
Oh my gosh, we totally should do that. That was a great movie. I really like that movie too.
So, backstory on No Hard Feelings. Obviously, if you know, that's a Jennifer Lawrence movie with where she basically, goes and dates some kid and he's like a loser, right? And it's just so funny. Like, what was it? I saw it on like a Sunday night. So like that Monday I go to Zach and I'm like, Zach, I saw No Hard Feelings. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, the wife and I saw it
Friday,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you saw it a couple days earlier, but we didn't talk over the weekend. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, the wife and I went to go see it. And I was like, let's do a movie review on this.
Dude, I really enjoyed that movie. Like I feel like the reviews aren't as great as I laughed. Granted, so we have a crew. Let me tell a little story here. We have a crew that we go see movies with. There's like 4 couples. Was it 4? There's like 8 of us. Yeah, 4 couples. We usually go see movies together, and we pack booze, bro. So we'll bring like the little like airplane bottles of booze, and like my buddy will bring them in. We'll put them in all the wives' purses, and then we just pass them around. This time, my buddy had like a flask because I like Jameson. That's like my go-to, and he drinks Jameson with me. He's like, dude, I don't have any Jameson little like bottles. So he's like, but I brought my flask, and I busted out like little shot glasses. I'm like, he's pouring out shot glasses out of his flask, dude. So we always have a lot of fun at the movies.
Oh yeah. So it's definitely a typical nerd thing. Like, and we've talked about this. Like, it's definitely the kid who's in it is, someone has no friends, been picked on in a way, and very much like us, like has on quote unquote online friends and has intense streams.
He's not very much like us, okay?
Not like very much like us, but it's like I'm just saying like the community, because there's a lot of like
in
that's
that
what
aspect,
some of us were when we were
life
growing
human
up.
friends as well.
Yeah.
So but anyway, back to Barbie.
Back to Barbie. So because we're not going to do the full review on No Hard Feelings. So anyway, this article is coming over from Screen Rant. And it's talking about the 14 upcoming movies based on Mattel toys releasing after Barbie. So Mattel Films has announced that a multitude of development to turn into their famous toys are going into the motion pictures after the release of Barbie. So they talk about 14 different projects that are in development. Some of them some of them you don't know, but we're going to very quickly just run through all 14 of them in no order whatsoever. So, of course, we have Masters of the Universe, which is a huge thing.
Yeah.
This has been talked about forever, right? We had the Netflix series from Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Now we're getting a release of supposedly in October of 2024.
Well, they also had that other Netflix one too. There was 2 like simultaneous Netflix He-Man shows that came out. The Kevin Smith one, and then there was another one as well.
Yes.
I don't know who did it. Yeah, so I mean, He-Man's all over the place. They've even casted the Prince Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep, Kyle Allen is the one who's going to be playing him. So.
Yeah.
Going to be interesting. So we got Masters of the Universe. Another one that people are actually, this one is actually, I saw this the other day. J.J. Abrams is doing Hot Wheels.
Okay.
Which is pretty crazy, but he's saying it's emotionally grounded and gritty, according to Abrams himself. So
okay.
No timeline, just possibly June of 2025. Then we have Barney. We have Polly Pocket. Major Matt Matson. No idea what that is.
Major Matt Mason. Yeah, I've never heard that either.
Yeah, I have no idea. Rock'em Sock'em Robots. We have Uno, Magic 8 Ball, American Girl, Viewmaster, Jesus, Chatty Cathy and Betsy Wetsy, Thomas the Tank Engine, Big Jim, and last but not least, Matchbox. So now whether these are going to be like live action, whether they're going to be animated, who the hell knows? But obviously, listen, if they can do. This all really goes back to like stuff like Transformers and He-Man, and realistically, I guess He-Man would have been the first, right? Because like the late 80s is when they had Dolph Lundgren's.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe. That's a great one.
Fuck yeah, man.
Dude, with Courtney Cox? Hell yeah, dude.
Frank Langella is the best villain ever.
It's so good.
So, yeah, it's awesome, right? This is like something that they can do. They're doing Barbie. I mean,
some of them seem like a stretch, though. A movie on like... And then 2 of them, which one was the Matchbox, and then the other one, Hot Wheels? Like, isn't it the same thing? Like, what are we doing here?
I don't know. I think Hot Wheels is more going to be like a cartoon, is my guess.
Okay,
maybe like a kind of
Magic
like a
8-Ball horror movie. Okay,
yeah, that. Oh my god, imagine that Viewmaster. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Some of these are very much seem like a stretch, but whatever, dude.
Mm-hmm. So I found the one pretty funny. The Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Vin Diesel was announced to star and produce it.
Of course. Okay. I'm surprised he's not in some version of Hot Wheels or Matchbox where it's like they mix him in with Fast and the Furious. It's like a crossover.
Hey, you never know. This could be some giant new universe, like the Energon universe for Image Comics. So yeah, so be on the lookout for some stuff. So in reality, so now realistically, like, does this mean that we should be speccing on comic books that have, these out? Because obviously, like Barbie 1, that's the comic. But I mean, I don't know if like, I'm pretty sure Hot Wheels has to have some type of comic. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Polly Pocket probably does.
He-Man, of course, does.
Well, yes.
Yeah. It's tricky because honestly, like it all comes down to is so if you start to spec on it, it's the idea that there's going to be a market out there, right? So some of these things like, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, stuff like that, there's a bigger fan following than, Hot Wheels necessarily as a medium, and like a character. Like, I mean, what name of Hot Wheels? Is there like a Hot Wheels car, like a car that's like the go-to? So I don't know. I mean, like, I'll tell you, I won't be specking on it because I don't know. Not my thing. But where are we going to get some Thundercats, man? Like, where's Thundercats left out? I don't even know if Mattel owns the property, but dude, Thundercats.
Yeah, I don't even know at this point.
No love.
Yeah, we don't get anything for us. I guess guys more so, right? Because we grew up on that stuff.
Yeah,
right? And not to say it's not for females because I've seen a lot of females do love Thundercats as well. But yeah, man, we haven't had a good Thundercat since that last cartoon from
which was great.
The mid 2000s.
What was that? That was on the Cartoon Network.
Yep,
that was a really good show. That was really, really good. That one, and like I always talk about it, and I don't think you got around to watching it yet. Is Voltron? Those are two like the cartoons that were really good recently. I feel like.
Well, even the one Masters of the Universe was very good, right? For the most part.
The Revelation one or the?
Yeah.
I think I only watched the first half. I don't think I ever got around to. I know there was a lot of like wokeness with it, right? Or people were complaining about a lot of wokeness with like Prince Adam kind of being, spoiler alert, kind of dead, and it being Tula or whatever the hell her name was.
Well, yeah, like he kind of dies at the end and then comes back. Spoiler alert that I've already said that, but
yeah.
I mean, literally, the thing's been out for a year. People like,
Right.
If you like Masters of the Universe, you would have watched it by now. But yeah, there is that other one that I can't think of. Like
a different like animation. It was kind of weirder. Like
yeah, it was way more like childish because I remember I remember seeing some of the toys like in Target and I was like, oof, these are terrible. And it was like instead of Ram Man, it was like Ram Mam.
Ram Mam, like ma'am?
Yes, like MA'.
What? Okay.
Yeah, I swear to God, I'm pretty sure I like sent that picture in like the group chat at one point. But yeah, that's how sad it was. So yeah, that's some upcoming stuff from Mattel. So be on the lookout for your favorite toys turned into movies after Barbie.
Interesting. Okay, so continuing some TV movie news, you might have thought you heard the last of the Miller Watch, but you haven't. There's more. So, article over from CBR: Ezra Miller breaks. Okay, look, I'm not doing this. Like, call me what you will. I don't live in Michigan, where they now passed the law you have to respect people's pronouns or whatever. But Ezra Miller breaks his silence as unjust protective order is lifted early. So, I mean, I don't even know where to begin with this. Obviously, Ezra Miller had all these problems. One of them was the parents of a woman that he got accused of like abducting and kind of like grooming, put a protective order against him. And he speaks out and says that protective orders are meant to provide safety for individuals, families, and children who are in danger. They are not meant to be used as weapons by those seeking attention or fleeting tabloid fame or some sort of personal vengeance when there are people in true and dire need of these services. So obviously he's upset. He's also saying that, Miller is saying that it's hard to understand this article when they keep referring to him as they, them. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is not grammatically correct. Okay. So, Miller used violence, intimidation, threat of violence, fear, paranoia, delusion, and drugs to manipulate and groom the young girl. So he goes on to saying he's been unjustly and directly targeted by an individual who the facts have shown has a history of such manipulative and destructive actions, blah, blah, blah. Look, it'd be one thing if this was like an isolated incident, right? And then it came out, something like maybe the Jonathan Majors situation. But the article even goes on to say the protective order in question was just one of several controversies that surrounded Miller in 2022, as the actor was also arrested on multiple occasions for assault, burglary, and child endangerment. So this guy's a shit show. I'm hoping the bombing of the Flash is the last we see of him. Like, people don't touch him. He's toxic. It's just, I don't know why you would work with this guy. Like, there'd be no benefit. And honestly, I don't necessarily think his acting is that great that why you would like even take the chance of pulling him as an actor and dealing with whatever drama and crap that he has going on for your movies. I don't know. And even the article then goes on, talks about Miller getting help. And even that's so disingenuous, right? Like, him getting help was like right around the time where Warner Brothers was like thinking about scrapping the Flash, and like, of course, it was kind of like they had too much money invested, and him getting help was like he had to do it. And like when I say help, like I'm totally air quoting. Like, who knows if he really got help? You know, it doesn't seem genuine to me at all. The guy's garbage. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's terrible, and we finally get to see something from him because, like, I think he was on the red carpet for the Flash, and that was about it. And he was like very shut off. Like, he really didn't talk to anybody and didn't say anything. And
he probably had handlers, bro. Yeah, and instructions.
Yeah, pretty much. He was just like, you can't say anything to anybody about anything.
Yeah, he's probably treated like Joe Biden, dude. Where like it's like, here's your script. If anyone asks you a question, just walk off set or walk off stage, dude.
Or just look at the paper or post-it notes or postcards and be like, this is what I have to say for this question.
Dude. I don't know.
But again, I think after the movie, obviously it's done. I read that like they took out like 1,500 theaters. The movie's no longer playing in like so many theaters. So once it hits Max and goes out to whatever HBO or not HBO, like just the DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that, maybe that's the last time we'll see Miller. So
out to pasture, yeah. Speaking of the Flash movie, and then it's kind of like there's been a lot of articles lately about, and who even knows, like, dude, like there's all these articles being like, well, if the Flash would have done well, we were going to see Michael Keaton in Batman Beyond. Like everyone's acting like this was a for sure thing. Nothing's for sure in Hollywood with that kind of stuff. Like they talk about things, but if there's no script and there's nothing on paper, like I feel like the articles coming out about like, well, the loss of the Flash is the loss of Batman Beyond. Like, bro, a conversation had maybe been had. That's it. Like you never had Batman Beyond. So
you have a lot of other Batman Beyonds. Let's just be real. Like realistically, if somebody wanted to come back, obviously, all right, so not Val Kilmer. Realistically, if you want George Clooney, even though, again, we don't need to ever see him in the suit again, but he could be Batman Beyond.
Well, why couldn't you still do Keaton? Like, I mean, he would.
Yeah, he's older.
It's a different world. It's unattached, and everyone says the only good parts of the Flash were Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Batman. So, if DC wanted to, or Warner Brothers wanted to take the shot, they could still do it, dude. It's up to them. Like, they're waiting it out, man. They're really much like, okay, dude, we lost a ton of money on that. We might lose a ton of money on Aquaman. And they lost a ton of money on Shazam as well. And that's their own fault, dude. They're marketing for like basically saying the DCEU was scrapped. Like that was stupid. You should have like finished your movies and then announced James Gunn. Like, yo, surprise, James Gunn's coming in. It's all
that's kind of I agree on that. Because it's like realistically now it's like it's the same thing like with Blue Beetle, even though he quote unquote says that Blue Beetle's part of his universe,
which is kind of, it makes you wonder, is it true or are they just saying this to kind of save it, you know?
So like if it's a terrible movie, then it's just like, we're not going to continue with this. And then of course then you have Aquaman, the same thing goes. Like, so where are we at with, there's people just don't care anymore. And obviously there's a lot of stuff that says that like, oh, movies are down, like it's all because there's nothing but superheroes. It's just like, true. People just don't want to sit in the theaters anymore, man. There
is some superhero fatigue, and Marvel hasn't been knocking home runs any longer either. So it's all suffering a little bit for sure. So I don't know, man. They gotta just figure it out. But bye Ezra Miller, hopefully. Bye. Anyway, so moving on into comic book news, we got some really cool stuff today to talk about comic book noise, which is always fun, man. I mean, we're obviously like a comic book centered thing. We always talk about the movies and stuff, but it's all about the source material too. So I really like this article over at, where's this at? Image Comics about Rick Remender teams with Max Fiumara. I don't know if I said that right. For explosive, highly anticipated new launch, The Sacrificers, this August. So new book coming out. If you picked it up in the free comic book day, you could have saw like a little intro for it, as well as Jeff Lemire's Fish Flies. Did you read that one? Did you read either one of those?
I did not. I didn't even know. So, like, I didn't pick up the Image one for the simple fact is like I'm not a big like Lemire artist.
Oh, really? Oh, I like Lemire.
Yeah, I like his writing. I just don't.
Yeah, like you're just not crazy about the art. I get you. Yeah. It's a little strange, but yeah, his writing. I'm a big fan of his writing, and I love Remender. So I'm excited about this one. But they go on to here's the little synopsis of what the book is about. So in The Sacrificers, tomorrow is a harmonious paradise thanks to 5 families who make everything perfect for the price of 1 child per household. Now, as that bill comes due, a son expected to give everything for a family that never loved him, and an affluent daughter determined to destroy utopia who must now unite to end one generation's unnaturally protracted reign. So it sounds like it's one of those things where it's like, hey, look, we got to sacrifice someone, obviously the sacrificers, to have this utopia. And probably the sacrificed people aren't too happy about it. They're going to revolt a little bit. So I saw this. I read it when the Free Comic Book Day came out, and I was excited when I saw Remender. Whenever I see Remender, I think of X-Force, obviously, and he's done a ton of great stuff, but I always think of Remender's X-Force run, which was amazing. So what about you? You gonna check it out?
Yeah, man. And as we talk about it, you think the way Zach read it, you think about just humans, right? But it's not humans. Like there's actually, if you look at the art and the covers, it's other different species. So it's very fantasy. So I don't think that it's just going to be like humans sacrificing other humans. It looks like it's different species that have to sacrifice their son or daughter, whatever it is. But yeah, man, like you said, Remender, I'm pretty sure there's not a bad book that I've ever read from him. Like Deadly Class, Black Science, Low, like you said, Uncanny X-Force, probably the best damn Venom run ever.
Are you being serious?
I'm serious.
Really? You really like his Venom run?
I'm telling you, man, I love that Venom run.
It's okay.
Yeah, man. I think there's never been a bad book that he's done. Like there's just everything. Like I own all the stuff. Like Tokyo Ghost. Like same shit. Like
yeah.
So yeah, I'm big. I'm definitely interested. There's tons of variants for this for like different ratios. There's some awesome covers on it. But yeah, man, I'm surprised. You know what? Like I said, I'm upset that I didn't read it or like at least get the preview from the Free Comic Book Day because again, I saw the Jeff Lemire thing and I was just like, I don't really care. But yeah, I definitely do have this on pre-order. So it is coming out August 2nd. So you do have still time to pre-order it. So if you get a chance, hit up your local comic shops. It's well before FOC. So definitely check out the Sacrificers.
You gonna get a bunch of these? Any of these variants you're interested in?
I mean, there's the 1 in 15 Jenny, which I like. Jenny Frizen looks nice. I like the 1 in 20 Matteo Scalera. That one's pretty badass as well. I think this is the 1 in 10, the Tula Latoy, which is like the main character, just like her face.
With it's like flame
half moon
one to the left. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some good stuff. I mean, interesting. They did up to a 1 in 50. I mean, you know what it is? I'm actually shocked. The 1 in 50 is a Mike Mignola. Like I would have thought like the Jenny one would have been like a 1 in 50.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. I mean, when you think Mike, I only think of Hellboy when I think.
Of course, it's all everybody does.
Yeah. So
and Grendel maybe.
And Grendel, yeah. Honestly, like a 1 in 35, 1 in 30. It's kind of crazy. They actually are doing quite a bit here.
Yeah. So you could probably find them on the cheap, but still, Sacrificers definitely sounds interesting. Even Remender even talked about how it's, and it's always stuff. His creator-owned project. He loves doing these. You haven't seen him in Marvel, right? Since the Venom and X-Force stuff. He's pretty much been doing nothing but Image. So this is just a perfect thing to continue with his own creator project. And you never know, like, I was a huge fan of Deadly Class. It only lasted 1 season on Sci-Fi. I wish it would have went more, but you never know. Maybe something like this or Black Science or whatever other, stuff that he's come back. It's the only thing I never read, and I was thinking I went to like a list before we recorded was Scumbag. Did you ever read Scumbag?
No, I haven't. To be honest, I haven't read a lot of his like independent works. So
okay.
I mean, I read like some Deadly Class, not all of them, and then.
Low is really good. It's only like 20 issues, like around 20 issues. Obviously, and then Black Science is probably around 30-ish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Maybe more, but yeah, I highly recommend anything from Remender if you're someone that just needs to read something new. What did that went there? Yeah. 43 issues was Black Science. So
now you got me kind of wanting to read
sci-fi thing.
You got me wanting to read his Venom run again because I don't remember it being that good. Like I don't remember it being bad. I just don't remember it being like anything to write home about.
I thought it was awesome. Flash Thompson as Venom. The whole idea that it's like a
cool.
army and they don't. He can only use the symbiote for so long. And
that's true. That is that run. Okay. Yeah, that was a good one. You still think that? You think that's better than the Donny Cates one?
Yeah, man. I just.
Really? Okay.
I mean, yes, and we talked about this. Donny Cates definitely did a lot for Venom, but like
you like
story wise, and then it's also because it's also Eddie Brock. But like the fact that it's like Flash Thompson, it's not Eddie.
Right. It's a little different.
To make like a great story, is just
I get you.
Then it had like that. What was it, like the Circle of Fear or Circle of Hell like storyline? It was like Venom, Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah, Elektra, Red Hulk.
Yeah, there was like all that.
X-23, I think it was part of it, something like that.
Yeah, so there was a lot of good stuff. I think they introduced like one or two people in that run towards the end, but still, I think Remender did a great job on that Venom run, and I'd read it again. It's always tough to put together, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't see it that often. I don't think the print run was very high on it.
No, I think the first print, well, the first cover went probably like 3 printings. I remember because there was like a random like pink cover because it's like Joe Quesada did the cover. But then, throughout them, there's a lot of like variants in there that are pretty expensive, and they're only like 1 in 10s and up to 1 in maybe like 25s. But
yeah,
there's some good ones in there. So if you ever find that Venom run, definitely put it together. And I'm sure there's an omnibus. You're an omnibus guy, right? Isn't there an omnibus probably for that, or
I don't know if there is for that. I'm not like a kind of person who buys every single omnibus, but yeah, I don't know if there are. I don't know if he's because they've been doing Venom. It's even hard to say Venomomnibus. Venomomnibus. I can't say it. But yeah, and I don't know if Remender's stuff is collected in those or not. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But I'll look it up while you go on to talk about the other article. You had another one.
So out of the Indy stuff into the Marvel stuff. So this actually was just put out last week over at Marvel.com. We got Yelena Bolova returns in White Widow #1. So this November we have Sarah Galeli and Alessandro Miracaro is taking the fan favorite super spy on an all new adventure in a 4-issue miniseries. So of course we all know White Widow. We're finally getting her time to shine. She has been everything from an anti-hero, super spy, rogue agent, and of course the shadow of Black Widow. So Yelena has many things to do, but striking out as a hero in her own is new to her. So now this is finally free to choose her own path. Who will she become? So coming out in November, on November the 1st, we have ourselves a nice little 4-issue miniseries of Yelena. And it's actually interesting because I thought about this when I found this article, was like, where has she been? Right? Like, did she show up in the most recent Black Widow series? But other than that, like, what does she do? If
she was on Thunder, by one of the recent iterations of Thunderbolts.
Okay, so then I guess that's really why she's on the team for the movie.
Yeah, I think she's jumped back and forth, but yeah, she hasn't been around for a while. But to be honest, I don't read a lot of it's not a title that I would typically pick up. So, no, that's cool. Marvel's doing the same thing, and I wonder if they are seeing it, like maybe DC's having success with it. We've talked about it before, how DC's doing a lot of these like little minis, right? Like 4 or 5 issue series, like on characters. And it seems like Marvel's doing a lot of that as well. Especially I know X-Men has a lot of stuff coming out where we just had like a Bishop had a 1 through 5. Iceman's coming out with the 1 through 5. Phoenix, or like Jean Grey. I mean, they're doing a lot of these little mini series rather than like ongoings, and maybe that's the way to do it, dude. I mean, like some of these characters, yes, they're cool and it'd be great to see them in like their own book, but like I look back at since I'm thinking about X-Men, I look back at like Nightcrawler's runs. Like he's had a couple volumes where it was like 15 issues and they were not very good, like it just, in Gambit as well. Like these aren't characters that can really hold a story by themselves for a long time. These little minis are actually, I think it's a good idea.
Marvel was like king of that in the 80s. Like you had like the Rocket Raccoon, the Magic, obviously Long Shot.
Yeah, they would do those 1 through 4s all the time.
Yeah. Like, and they were good. Like they're fun, quick reads. Like it's nothing too crazy. You can invest yourself. Like look at it. If it's a $4 book, what are you investing? $16?
Right.
Entire series. Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good look, and it's a good way to kind of get some more interest in a character, and then you can bring him into like a larger team or whatever you want to do that way with it. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I'll pick this up, but I wouldn't be opposed to like reading it, online or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm probably going to grab him. I mean, again, like I said, for $16, I mean, why not? I'm sure there's some variants that'll be coming with this. So, I'm sure there's going to be like a Scotty Young one. There'll probably be like a J. Scott Campbell. But yeah, for 4 issues, give it a shot. You figure November, December, January, February, and then it'll be done. Why not for 4 issues? So
yeah.
November 1st, White Widow #1 with Yelena Bolova.
So going back real quick to Venomnibus, for those of you who may be interested, there are 3 Venomnibuses out currently, volumes 1, 2, and 3, that kind of collect up to who is the third story? Is like Howard Mackey and Eric Larson writing on Venom. So right before Remender took over, and then there's also 3 Venom omnibuses that deal with the Donny Cates stuff. So maybe eventually when we get Venomnibus Volume 4, maybe that'll cover the Remender run. But it's not collected yet. It doesn't look like.
Interesting. Well, I'm sure they did. They definitely had to do like a hardcover collection at some point.
Oh yeah, it probably isn't a hardcover. But yeah, omnibus wise, probably not yet, at least.
What was the other one that was like pretty good? Like, didn't Danny Way do one? Right? Wasn't that a Venom run? I can't remember that. That was like after. It was like the first ongoing after all the '90s minis that they did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Venom by Daniel Way, and was that the one that had like the new? No, it still had Venom. It still had Eddie Brock, but there was the Lee Price. Lee Price took over as Venom for a while.
Well, that was after what was it? It was the Flash Thompson run in whatever the mid 2000s, and then they did. I can't remember if the Space Knight one came first.
No, that's way like I think Lee Price was before Flash as well, and I don't think he lasted very long.
No, I think Lee Price was after that.
Really? Okay, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because like Venom run was like 2010, 11 was the Rick Remender, because that's when I got back into Marvel. Where I really just got back into comics because of New 52. So I think post that, because like the Lee Price lasted like 5 issues and then Eddie Brock came back.
Yeah,
because that's what it was. Like
Venom Volume 3, number 1 is Lee Price's first appearance, but I don't know the year for that.
Yeah, I think because it ended with the Remender run, and then the Venom didn't have a host, and then it found Lee.
We also had Matt Gargan as well. Scorpion was Venom for a while. We're totally going down a Venom hole now, man.
Yeah, I know.
There's some good stuff out there. I mean, like the Venom stuff, I actually I bought the first Venomnibus, and it was all like the Lethal Protector stuff, and I didn't like it. I was like, yeah, this is kind of crap. And it was just a lot of like one shots, and they had crossovers like when he was in the Punisher and stuff. Like all the early Venom stuff outside of Spider-Man was him appearing in other people's books, and it was like everything. He was in Ghost Rider, he was in Moon Knight, he was in Punisher. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway.
But he was on Thunderbolts. Who was it?
That's Matt Gargan.
Okay, so yeah, I never read any of that.
Yeah,
but yeah, okay. So
that was cool.
Even before.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that was definitely before Flash Thompson, without a doubt.
Yeah. Someone who's listening is like, "What idiots! They don't even know their Venom."
Sorry, I don't know my Venom history. He's not my favorite character.
I know.
But yeah, the Venom in space was the absolute worst.
That Space Knight, the Space Knight's
so
horrible. It's god awful.
Oh my god! Even like when they tried to like put him on the Guardians team, it was just like trying to save face, and it was just like, no.
Yeah, and even it was funny because even the Guardians were like, "What the hell is this dude doing on this team?" So, but anyway, okay, moving on a little bit more comic book news. We kind of talked about this last week with my pick of the week, and we'll kind of cruise through it since we're moving on time here. Al Ewing paves the way for Genesis War with X-Men Before the Fall, Heralds of Apocalypse. So if you listen to last week's episode, my pick of the week was the Before the Fall, Heralds of Apocalypse issue. And just really cool interview here over on Marvel's website about the Marvel.com, talking to Al Ewing about what to expect and what's going on and where Genesis and Apocalypse are after Ten of Swords tournament and all that. And so you kind of heard me talk about it last week, and this is a really good article. I'm excited about the Genesis War. Like I said, I've always been a big fan of like the Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen, and kind of in this, you also get the flashback sequence of like how they name their children: famine, war, pestilence, and death. You see more like interaction between Genesis and Apocalypse. You definitely we're moving towards a massive battle between Genesis and Storm and the mutants on Araco, or Mars, so to speak. So I thought it was cool, man. I'm really excited for this. The Fall of X, I'm excited for, scared for, just because I've really been enjoying X-Men lately. So, I don't want them to like you just don't want them to like mess it up because they're like, okay, it's gone too long. Let's do something else, shake it up. And then, then it sucks again. So,
I have a question, like, because
Yeah.
obviously I'm not reading, so this is me being a community question.
Yeah.
Does obviously I know like this issue, and obviously it was a one shot, was done by Al Ewing. Now, is like the whole Genesis War going to be Hickman, or are we?
No, Hickman's done. Hickman's been done for a while.
Okay.
So he's moved on. This is the Genesis War, I think, is going to primarily be in X-Men, the title X-Men Red, which is pretty much takes place on Mars, where the mutants are now like half the mutants are living. So it all kind of comes back to, Krakoa, right? Like from Giant Size X-Men, right? So some of the lore got changed, where way back in the day, there was one big land and it was called Okara. And Okara was split into two, Krakoa and Arakko. And so the mutants on Arakko were initially led by Genesis at one point in time, and they're definitely harder and like they fight to the death and they don't give up, and they definitely have like an edge. And they're like the mutants that were in like a different dimension until Hickman's era kind of like unlocked them, so to speak. And so now they moved all the mutants from Arakko are now on Mars, which is called Arakko, and they kind of like populate that. And so I think one of the big things is Genesis is now seeing her people, and she's not happy with like the switch. Like they're not as hard as they were when she led them. And so she's not happy with that. So Storm rules over there. She's the queen of Mars. So that's kind of pitting the two of them against each other. So, yeah. Damn. I just brief little synopsis right there, man. I kind of crushed that guy. I kind of crushed that right there. But
Well,
it's
you
cool,
are
man.
a huge X-Men fan. So.
I do. I love me some men of X and women of X for those out there.
Because like what's coming? We've talked about it. Like they're doing that like Dark X-Men series.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of other things. Like there's the
Realm of X is coming out. A lot of those not one shots, but those minis like Iceman, Astonishing Iceman, Jean Grey has a title coming out. Realm of X, like we said. What was the other one you just said? Sorry.
I said Dark X-Men.
Dark X-Men is like a 1 through 5. Yeah, I mean, something big's supposed to happen at the Hellfire Gala this year. It's supposed to kick off the fall of X. We know the X-Men are coming to a head with like Orkies and Moira McTaggart working with them and all that drama. There's also some drama going on with Cyclops and Jean Grey again. And we also have Uncanny Avengers is coming out as well. So another 1 through 5 miniseries, Uncanny Avengers, blending the two X-Men and Avengers together again. So we'll see, man. I don't know what the status quo is going to be with the X-Men moving forward post Fall of X. So more Apocalypse, though. Hopefully, that's what I want.
Do it.
But yeah. So that's what we have. You know what? One thing we didn't talk about, and I meant to ask you this before we started because we usually do this. Are you?
Oh yeah, I know you're
Secret Invasion.
I feel like this series is just so quick that we're just, since it's only 6, we're just
going to
wait
like
this.
6.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think if it was 8, I think we would have done a mid-season, but I figured,
Yeah.
you know what, like we're already
halfway.
Like, yeah, I mean, obviously, yes, it's halfway. We've gone through 3 episodes. I think we'll just do a full season because it's such a shorter than all the other series.
So real quick though, general opinion, real quick. Are you
I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like, there's times where I like it. There's times where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. There's times where I'm like, I feel like it's too much of a buddy cop sometimes. Like when it's like,
with Talos and
when Talos and he Fury are on screen. It's just like, I don't know what to think until the full thing. And I'm glad it's probably only 6 episodes. So like once it ends, I can be like, okay. Yeah,
it doesn't feel like much has happened, right? In like 3 episodes. It doesn't feel, I mean, people are like, what do you mean? Those big shit just happened. But like, it doesn't feel like a lot's happened. And
the problem is, real quick, let's just talk about this. Now we're going to jump into this because we do have time.
Yeah.
It's like if you've seen the trailer for the Marvels, you know nothing can happen to Nick Fury, right? And there's really and there's probably not going to be
a scroll.
Fine.
Unless he's replaced.
And then like there's not, and from what we've seen and what we I guess semi know is like there's not really anything that has to do with the scrolls, I would think, in the Marvels. But unless it does, then okay, then it sets something up, right?
Yeah, and there's a character that at the end of this 3rd episode that it's highly showing you is a scroll. And even this character we know is showing up in the future. So what's going on with that? You know, like,
You're gonna have to talk to me after. I don't know what the hell you're talking about now.
oh, okay. But I don't want to spoil anything. So like,
No. I get it. I get what
yeah.
you're saying. Yeah, you don't like. It's fine
But
because I'm sure we're.
yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm enjoying it, and I do like I like the spy noir feel to it very much. So it doesn't feel like a Marvel, like it doesn't feel like a superhero or like comic book show, really. And I kind of
We
like it.
haven't
Kind
seen
of feels like,
anybody in a costume.
yeah, it kind of feels like Jack Ryan, which is kind of cool.
Mm.
But it doesn't have the gravitas that, like, I remember when Secret Invasion, the story came out, like the miniseries, and then you're reading it, and all of a sudden, boom, major characters have been like scrolls, and they're like, hey, dude, that guy's been a scroll since the 90s in terms of storyline, supposedly, you know what I mean? And so it's like really cool and really interesting. Like, there hasn't been any big reveals yet, except for what kind of just happened in this most recent episode.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
And we don't know possibly when this person was replaced, but and that could be big. So I don't know. It hasn't hit as hard as I thought maybe it could have. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of odd. Well, yeah, we'll talk.
Yet.
We'll talk off on. Yeah. But the thing is too, it's like they basically told the directors and everything. They told them that's like, don't read Secret Invasion because
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they didn't read the Secret Invasion.
And
That's
so
why
that's
there's
the
nobody.
other,
You're not going to get because you're not going to get all those superheroes and
yeah. So that's the other thing too, is like you're basing off, and I get it, man. You can't, and I'm a big advocate on like not being like, I'm never one of these people like, that's not how the story was originally written. You know, like the mediums aren't the same. You have to cater to the medium, right? But like, really, this Secret Invasion is just like the title. You don't have any of the same characters necessarily as like the book. Like, it's been a long time since I read Secret Invasion, but I don't remember Fury actually being like a massive role. Like, he wasn't the main character.
no, it was all the superheroes.
Yeah, with like
Like,
Spider
the only
Woman.
thing I could see is this
Hank
guy.
Pym
What's his name? Who's the main villain right now?
Gravik.
Gravik. Like, the only thing I could see is that like at the end, he's really reporting to Varanki, the Scroll Queen,
Right.
from like Secret Invasion. Like, that's the only thing I could see. Like, okay, so there is a bigger threat out there, and he's just like the person who's down on the ground, like on Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's
So
the only thing I could see is like, okay, all right, so there's a future.
I also am kind of a little upset with, like I said, now we're kind of getting into it, but I'm a little upset with the waste of the Super Scroll so far.
Yeah, because
that's such a great character. Like, that's a great, and I've been specking on. I own a couple of those books, but I mean, that's such a great character, and like the idea, like, and even Gravik kind of mentioned it. Yeah, we're going to be Super Scrolls, you know, he kind of says, and it's like, come on, man, like, don't waste that. Like, I want it. The first time we saw the Super Scroll should be the Super Scroll, you know, either with the Fantastic Four, or honestly, you should have introduced Kl'rt in this one as like, he should have been Gravik, in my opinion, probably. And then you could even have him as like, you know, they got these powers of like Groot and Cold Obsidian or whatever they showed, you know, all the powers. And then later, maybe he loses those and then he gets the Fantastic Four powers or something like that. But, and who knows, maybe he'll switch his name. Maybe we'll get like a whole Dark Knight Rises where it's like, oh, this guy's real name's Kl'rt, not and like Robin. You know what I mean? Something like that. So, and maybe they'll save it. But anyway, so Secret Invasion, brief overview from the Comic-Con podcast. So let's round it out with what we're currently reading. And what do you got this week, buddy?
Well, I mean, it's basically just going to be DC. We were kicking off the Night Terrors. It's all DC this week. So I guess let's kick it off with the main book, DC Night Terrors First Blood #1. Interesting storyline. I definitely like how they use a previous villain, and you know what they're doing, obviously, with Dr. Death, and it's not the Dream Stone, it's the Nightmare Stone, and he hid the Nightmare Stone in some hero or villain's mind, which is crazy.
Right.
You know, we talked about it before when, you know, we knew this was coming out. Like, obviously it was going to be the Trinity was going to be in there. And then of course you have Deadman and Zatanna and even Detective Chimp's in there as well. So, and Harley's in there for some reason. Cause you know, you got to put Harley in everything now. She's like,
was Harley even around when that villain was like fighting the Justice League back in the day? I don't think she was even created as a character.
No.
So I'm going to go ahead and guess it's not her brain. It's him.
But I did like how they did throw back to the New 52, because obviously that's kind of where the last time he was also in
Dark Crisis.
Crisis, but they do throw back and they do show you like from the New 52 era, like that Justice League, which was cool.
Yeah, I
But
guess there's a retcon, right? So
yeah, it was a little bit of a retcon. But I think the issue is really awesome. Again, we talked about how the main characters were probably going to be magic users. So like Dead Man is obviously like right out there, and and you and we talked about some great Dead Man storylines. There's not a lot out there, but there are some. They're great, and this just puts him in the the beginnings of a good storyline, right?
yeah,
Go ahead.
I liked this first book. I liked, and we kind of knew with the synopsis that they was going to bring back an old character like Dr. Destiny, and but it's also like a new villain, this Insomnia guy. Um, I enjoyed this first issue, or the First Blood. What were your thoughts on the other ones?
Oh boy, here we go. So I did not read Black Adam yet.
Okay, so I read them all. So
Okay, so you tell me about Black Adam, and then we'll go through the rest of them.
I mean, I don't know what there is to tell you. Like, there was nothing. It was dumb. Like, I don't understand what the point of these are. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe, and they're only 2 shots, right? So the first issue is going to be kind of like setting it up. It's like now they're in their dream, their nightmare, and so maybe the second issue will round it out better and give you a better idea. But I barely remember. Black Adam was running around. Oh, his what do you think his fear is?
He's being old, saying
Or he's
Shazam.
Teth Adam with no powers, right? So it's just, and then like Insomnia is lurking in the background and all of them. Like, I don't know, pointless.
Yeah, I did like in First Blood though. Obviously, the reintroduction of Damian, right? Because that's kind of like
that epilogue thing.
Part.
Yeah,
the epilogue.
Cool.
Because obviously that's the first time that we see Insomnia is in that free comic book day with Damian. So
yeah, that was
so. Some other the one shots or 2 shots, whatever you want to call them. Ravager was stupid.
Yeah,
like, she's in her nightmare. She sees someone who's just like her, and basically being chased by her father, who's like a demon. But then something happens, and
he's trying to like get out, right? That's kind of what
that's kind of the idea.
Demon Deathstroke trying to get out into the real world.
Yeah. Let's go to at least the good one. Let's do the Joker. I thought the Joker one was really good.
Really?
Yeah, like basically Batman. It's so funny the scene where like Batman almost like basically kills himself.
Yeah, that
like,
was funny. Yeah,
where he like falls off the roof, and like then Joker doesn't know what to do, right? Because that's what it is. Like, what does Joker do? So that's his nightmare. Like he has no idea what to do without Batman. So then him like getting a job at Wayne Incorporated was just like, and the first thing he does is goes on the computer, goes, "Where's all the money?" Like that's like
where's all the weapons?
Yeah, I was just like, what? And then I thought it was good. You know what? See, like that storyline really reminded me of like something that could be just like a normal series, not like Joker, but something on like the Indy side where like he is somebody who killed somebody and goes to work and like tells all these people that he's like a terrible person and like has all these demonic thoughts, but it's like the Joker, right?
And they think he's funny. Oh,
yeah, and they just think it's like, oh, he's just like the normal guy. He's like the guy at the watering hole, and but he's like, I got Batman and hanging in my closet at home, like
yeah, it wasn't bad.
I thought it was funny. It was, and then like towards the end where he like gets robbed, and it's his sidekick Giggy.
Yeah,
right? It's like, oh, what are you doing? But I thought that one was good. Terrible one. We'll go back to it. Poison Ivy.
Oh, thank God, dude! I was afraid you were actually going to say that.
Oh God, no! This was just so like what she's like her, but I don't even understand her fear. So she has like a perfect home with Harley, and then
the suburbs, I guess. Yeah, and like pesticide.
I just couldn't understand what was going on. Like obviously, like Batman's like their neighbor with like Selena, and there's like penguins in there and stupid Nightwing, and
yeah. I guess her fear is just being a common average person. I don't know. I just also this whole push, this like I'm not trying to get like an agenda because I don't really care, but like the whole, and I don't read a lot of, but the whole push of the like the LGBTQ thing with Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, like that's taken over who Poison Ivy is as a character, and that's not interesting to me. So I don't
like her normal ongoing is good, like, and it's not.
And it's not about that, right?
Yeah.
So like when they do that and they make that like the focus, I'm completely uninterested. I'm completely uninterested in like a heterosexual relationship in comics as well. Like even if like I don't need to hear about Jean and Scott anymore. Like dating.
Yeah, I feel like Ivy, you could have definitely did a better nightmare for her, right?
Yeah, like the planet, like wouldn't her nightmare be the planet's getting destroyed and she has no powers to help it?
Where there are no plants. Like, it's all
Yeah,
just, like,
like a
rock and
wasteland, yeah, or
yeah,
something.
it's like
Yeah,
yeah, that's what it is, like a
yeah,
post-apocalyptic where there's
right.
nothing can grow. Like, that would be her nightmare.
Yeah,
That's a cooler story than this.
way cooler than she's in the suburbs living with
Like,
Harley, and they're like puking on each other. What was that about? I didn't get like
oh my god, yeah. I thought I was watching Evil Dead Rise, to be honest,
yeah, dude. And then there was the Batman.
which
That one
was really good.
that was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
'Cause
Joshua
it's typical
Williamson.
Batman, like, that's what I feel like it's gonna be, like, obviously, it's right now, obviously, we're split because Ivy was terrible, and the 2 other Batman characters are good, but, yeah, Batman is good. He trains himself how to, not be in fear or not have
Mhm.
nightmares, but still being in his head, there's
Right.
still some type of a nightmare, and, from what we saw the previews, and we talked about this a long time ago. I think Laura was on our show from Bird City, and we saw some of the covers and the creations. And actually, it was also in the free comic book day if you picked it up. Like the thing that he pukes out, that like man bat thing with like the gun as his
Yeah.
head, like
That was
that's a
cool.
fear because
Yeah.
it's like he's Batman, but it's also a gun.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I liked how
it
the
was
pearls
wild.
came down in that one aspect. Like it was almost like the Indiana Jones type sized pearls that were like
Mhm.
falling on. It was his mother's pearls.
Yeah, or he gets put in the position of Joe Chill. So it's
Yeah.
like he's pulling the trigger to his
Mhm.
parents.
Yeah, that was cool. And I liked the idea of also where see, at least his book felt like it was moving the story. Like the other ones, like I don't know what poison, like it really feels like Ravager, Poison Ivy, and even Black Adam. Like, so that's the problem. That's the problem with like the Free Comic Book Day and First Blood, which kind of like with the two main books so far, and then you're gonna have like the ongoing Night Terrors. But like these other side characters that they have for the most part haven't been introduced in this storyline. So I'm like, well, what's their role here? Like, did you just pick a random character and throw them in a nightmare? Like, and if that's
Yeah.
so, then like, why do I care about that? Um, so
Well,
yeah,
again,
I
they
don't
all
know.
can't be winners.
They
So
can all be winners, right?
anyway.
That
So
was,
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
all.
yeah.
I don't really have like so my pick of the week would just be probably the Batman or the Joker. But
Okay,
I read other stuff this week, but it was definitely gonna be DC heavy on the Night Terror stuff. So
gotcha.
what about you, man? What do you
So I have a
you-
couple. It wasn't this week. I'm getting confused on my weeks, but Hell to Pay #6 came out. The final arc. I was telling you about this,
Mhm.
I think on the phone the other day. Really love Charles Soule's run, Hell to Pay on Image Comics. Check it out. It's supposed to be ongoing. There's also talks about it being picked up for a TV show. Um, really, really fucking cool storyline. Really enjoy Hell to Pay. Um, and then the other books I'm really enjoying. I kind of picked it up on like a whim a while ago, and it's the third issue. Are you reading The Seasons Have Teeth?
I think you told me about that, but I have not tried it yet.
Yeah, it's cool. And I think there's only going to be 4 issues, and I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of maybe I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, but in a way it kind of is. And the seasons are monsters, like summer, spring, autumn, winter,
Yeah.
and they all have to like avoid them as like the world avoids them as they occur. And the main character is this photographer, and he's kind of like his wife passed away and he hasn't been very successful, and he got lucky enough in the first issue to get like the only like recorded footage of one of the seasons, and no one's ever been able to get it before. And so each issue he's trying to find the new season. So this is the third issue, and it's autumn. And it's just really cool. There's not a lot to it, but it's very interesting. It's written by Dan Waters, and I think it's only 4 issues. I'll have to double check on that, but I'm enjoying that quite a bit. So I think that's going to be that and Hell to Pay are my picks of the week. And then then honorable mention, another Before the Fall, the Sinister Four one shot with X-Men was really cool. Kind of setting the tone of the 4 Mr. Sinisters that apparently have been in the universe since the beginning. And it's
Mhm.
really cool. It's very much like, oh gosh, what's your Batman, the Batman villains with the deck of cards? What are they?
The Royal Flush Gang.
The Royal Flush Gang. Yeah. So you know how Sinister has the diamond, right? So the
Mhm.
other 3 have like Spade, Heart, and the Clover.
Mhm.
And so they're all versions of the real Mr. Sinister. Had made these 4 clones. The Diamond Mr. Sinister has been the one that we've seen throughout the Marvel history. These other 3 have been doing their own thing, kind of like hiding and whatever. And they all think they're the real one. And so it's kind of
Hmm.
like breaking it down. It's really, really tying into what's going on in the Before the Fall. So it was really cool too. Awesome book. So
Yeah, I definitely got to check out Seasons of Teeth, but I'll probably just wait for it to finish and then I'll.
yeah, I was getting ready to look. I'm sure it's only 4 issues. I can't imagine unless there's like a wrap up issue after the 4th one. Let's see. Seasons.
Didn't say to be concluded.
No, it didn't. It didn't. It looks like it's just gonna be 4 issues. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Once again, same thing like you were saying with the White Widow. You know, what a $20 investment for 4 issues. So
Yeah, might as well. And then if you decide to hold on to it and it becomes like a movie or a series, I mean, shit, you weren't into it for that much. And
yeah.
it's easier to sell like that than just one random issue. So
The other one, are you reading Ghost Lore at all by Colin Bunn?
no,
It's kind of cool
I didn't even
too.
know about it.
Only 2 issues in, and it's this idea that like these 2 people can like see ghosts, but ghosts and the ghosts now like realize that they can see them. So they're like, hey, talk to us. I have to talk to you so I can move on.
Huh.
And so it's like their way of like, because they can communicate with the ghost, they're allowed to like, you know, let the ghost, you know, verbal diarrhea or dump their feelings so that they can move on to the afterlife. So I think it's 10 issues, 8 or 10 issues. It's a little like maxi series, mini series or whatever. And, but 2 issues out. And I'm a big Colin Bunn fan. So I usually, if I see his name on something, I typically pick it up regardless. That's over by Boom Studios. So it's another good read.
Nice.
But that's it, dude. So that's a wrap. Season 3, episode 27. What do you got on the coming up?
Probably just some whatnot sales. Next week we do have a guest leading up to Terrificon. We may also have another guest on the 20th, just to kind of prepare for Terrificon, and which will be in about 3 weeks. So I'm not really sure. Other than that, just we may have some news, some possible stuff for the Comic-Con Podcast Network.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Some other news. I might be relocating to the Washington, D.C. area for a month or so here shortly. So if you have any I'll need some good comic shops out there. And then Justin and I might be trying to make our way up to Baltimore Comic-Con. So keep that on your radar if you want to meet up with us, grab a beer, check out the cons. So, yeah. Fun stuff.
That's it, man.
That's all we got this week. Thanks for tuning in, and you know where to find us. And